These guys are having Google engineers, Netflix engineers in their team. Why would they want me? The intention of that post was basically showing that remote jobs are possible. So there are three ways I think one would land a job in this recession market as well. For construction companies, the thing is eh, the columns are way too varied. So it goes from product number, description, quantity, retainage period, from date to
Hi
date.
everyone, this one is an interesting podcast. Let me share some background before we start. So, we have Om on the pod. Om is a remote software developer, and the way we met is pretty interesting. Om actually shared his journey on Twitter, and I retweeted it. And by journey, I mean he shared his payslip. There was a small problem in the payslip though. The leading zeros at the end were not present. मतलब end में .00 नहीं था. So there was a very big controversy on Twitter कि whether or not this is a real payslip or fake. तो बहुत कुछ हुआ, मैं घूम रहा था, मुझे आइडिया नहीं था. Eventually I realized this is happening and Om reached out. So we talked, we have a very nice conversation of around 20 minutes that I recorded, which is the first time we talked, and he was extremely frustrated because he was being pulled into this controversy. I'll put that raw recording at the end of this podcast. The first part of this podcast is going to be us talking about his journey, him explaining how much he earns, where does he work, maybe not the company, but like the general area of companies he works at. How did he get there? What is the scope of remote software development? How did he start learning? And if you don't know, he's still in college. So his whole journey of becoming a remote software developer. Let's get right into it. So hey Om, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Harika, thanks. First of all, thanks for inviting me, and I would love to share my experiences as well as what the skills I've gained over the past couple of years, and obviously throw some more light on the controversy as well.
Perfect. Bro, you have a nice accent. तो हिंदी में तो नॉर्मल बात करते हो काफी बट तुमने accent बना रखा है
नहीं
प्रॉपर.
नहीं नहीं, यूएस का हो गया ना, अब तो आदत हो गया
Got
बहुत.
it. Very cool.
इसलिए
सही है. So let's begin from the top. You said you're in college right now. So when did you start to code?
Actually, I started coding while I was in 11th started. So 11th standard. So actually, I always had some interest in computers and hardware in general. But in 11th standard, I actually started going towards freelancing, building websites, apps, and different stuff in general. Just getting my hands dirty across all different coding platforms, learning Python and other languages as well. But in 11th standard, when I first landed my first client, that is when I started taking it seriously, and then the rest is history.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So, do you consider yourself kind of a prodigy in that case? You started coding when you were in school?
No, no, no. I never considered myself a prodigy, but just as a problem solver. So if a problem interests me enough, then I will make sure that I solve that problem. So that's my only way. I don't care the programming language or whatever that I need to learn, and that is the quality that I cherish the most.
Got it. Makes sense. Cool है. तो you started freelancing in college. So I'm assuming it was sorry in school. So I'm assuming college was a breeze then. तो तुम college में गए and then how did you start? Did you enjoy academics or were you always freelancing, not attending classes?
No, 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 no. So the problem was I actually took triple E, electronics. So my vision back then, while I was about to join college, was since I'm always interested in coding, so let's just try our hands at electronics because that will be a deadly combination, like hardware plus software. But as soon as I got into that subject, I did not like it much, and that is where I think I got distracted a little bit into different hackathons, and I think that was a boon for me because I got into my first hackathon, won a couple of them, then got into another international hackathons, Hacker Mighty, Hack Harvard, won a couple of them as well. And then, I mean, I think that is when I started realizing that I did not like studying or academics that on that level. And I did not focus on my CGPA, because I found really interesting people while I was into these hackathons, and I realized that okay, there's a lot more to it rather than just academics. So I did not actually press it down to a very deep hole, but yeah, that was not on focus.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So academics wasn't a focus. You were trying things independently. When did you start working full time?
Full time I started working back in September 2023. So that is when I first received my remote job offer. But I had a past couple of internships in other YC companies, an international internship in Singapore in the VC sector. So these experiences coupled with other entrepreneurship skills actually helped me a lot in landing this remote job.
Got it. So you mentioned interning at YC companies. Could you shed some light on that? How did you get into a YC company? How much do they pay?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, I have a very untraditional method when it comes to landing jobs because I was never the kind of guy to apply to go to a website and apply to a job portal, because I always felt that I'm always good at solving problems, but not prodigy at coding. So I understood that, hey, once I get and understand the problem, I would be able to solve it. So that's why YC was a very good way, because it funded companies who were actually solving very good problems back then and even now. But that is where I realized that YC platform is a great boon. So I came across this startup which was solving finance in Indonesia. And finance is a sector which generally interests me a lot, due to my past experiences and whatever. So that is where I realized that, okay, how should I approach this company? And when I first logged into the portal and I DM'd the founder in the YC portal itself, nothing much happened. So I realized I actually have to change my methods in such a way that actually he actually first of all sees my message in any way or form. So I found out the Google, the founder's name, the email address through different hacks and all, and then I just pushed out a very personalized message saying that, hey, I'm this guy from India, and I know that you may not be hiring, but I really like the problem that you're solving, and I would love to collaborate on any capacity. Because I did not intend to put that job word, because that is when the founders take a step back. But I just wanted to have a call, so even if I don't land a job, I actually have the connection, and then he would be reminded in future, like, hey, this guy was actually interested in solving a problem with me, so let's just get back to him. And the first call went really well, and he had me then and there.
Oh, nice. And so what was this? Was this so you mentioned this is an internship. So is this full-time commitment? Did it pay?
Yeah, it was not a full time. It was a part time commitment. So I usually did it at night time, like around from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, and the pay was good. It was around, like, let's say 35,000 per month. Not much, but the work pressures was too low to have like 1 lakh per month salary.
Got it. 35,000 INR. So that's like $500 a month.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
35,000 INR. Mhm.
Perfect for an internship role, I guess. So you worked there for how long?
I worked there for 3 months, and then due to some personal reasons, I had to leave it. But I was in second year, and again, the academic pressure was too much back then as well. So I had to take a step back and actually realize, okay, what I want to do, because I did not like that role that much. I don't know why, but actually, that was a good revelation for me as well. So I think that really helped.
Got it. Okay, sounds good. So what was the tech stack at this YC backed company?
Yeah, so basically, what I was supposed to do is build ML models. Okay,
Okay.
so like they were basically trying to build a credit scoring system wherein they have to find, okay, is this credit score good enough to for them to give out loan to them? And that is where I handled the challenge. And I that is the first time I realized that production data is too different from the real data that we are working around while we are building small projects, because the data was full with null values, empty values, and whatnot. So the first step, so we all know that sklearn is a good library to build all these models, but again, the projects that we are building, the data is quite perfect. We don't actually have to do anything, but for production data, you actually have to sanitize a lot of data to get real value. And that is what I realized, and it took me around what, a week or so to actually sanitize the data, and then build ML models on top of it. Again, a lot of different models were put into picture, and then one worked out to be the best. And then I got into the data analyst part as well, because I was progressing really well. So the idea was basically, once I was given a set of data, I will have to get some insights out of it in any way or form. Like, okay, just some raw insights which can really help the company understand its customer better. So that was my primary role in data.
Got it. So you meaning you mean to say you were a data analyst slash a ML engineer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got it. And your current company, what is your role here?
Mhm. Yeah, in my current company, I'm basically involved with core engineering. So anything related to developing a very robust system in terms, it's not about building APIs or calling APIs or backend or to backend in general. It's about building the core system or building the algorithms for them to have a technical advantage over their competitors. So or have a USP. So I have to explore, the research or explore the competitors. What kind of technology are they using different methods, hacks, whatever that is concerned, and then build a technology that is sustainable for the company plus adds a USP and a technical advantage, because AI is taking everything else. So the investors need something that should show that, okay, this company is going to survive even with the AI coming so hard on every company out there. So that's why, like, I have to just build systems which are robust, scalable, and different, and provides a USB for the company.
Okay, that's a lot of buzzwords for me. So can you break it down a little? What's your text like? What language do you write code in?
I basically write code in Python most of the time.
Okay, so you write a bunch of Python code that does what?
Mhm. That does basically analyze the data and builds. So let's just take an example of an invoice.
Okay.
Okay, so an invoice parsing system is generally, it's a lot of systems or a lot of tools are already out there to analyze the invoices and extract data out of it.
Mhm.
But the invoices that we deal with, the company deals with, is too massive, and the invoices are of varied types. So I have to build a system, a universal parsing system, which takes care of all these different invoice types, plus get the data as soon as possible in minimal seconds, like 10 seconds. One invoice should be parsed accurately, with good accuracy like 90%, and then have a human get the feedback as well. But that's the overall system. Analyze the invoice, analyze if it's an invoice as well or not, or what kind of invoice type is this, extract the relevant data, store it into a database. To build a system to analyze different invoice types, to analyze different columns of the invoice types, all these different things take a lot of time in general, because there are hundreds and thousands of invoice types for the company that I'm working with. So that is where my core engineering capabilities lie.
Got it. So like a PDF which has data in any random format.
Yeah, like a PDF. Yeah, PDF, images, even Excel formats. There are invoices in Excel formats as well for construction companies. So yeah, so all these different invoice types. So I have to analyze and do this all these things.
Got it. So extract data from a file, put it in a database. Is that it?
Mhm. Yeah, extract data from a file, analyze it, and then store it into a database. Once that is done, do more operations on top of it so that it becomes easier for the backend engineers, to just get the data out to the user.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Sounds good. Yeah, this sounds like a challenging problem. I guess
Mhm.
companies that do Aadhaar verification, PAN card,
Yeah.
it's a similar problem, right? Got it.
Yeah. Like, but again, the Aadhaar or the passports, they have a very similar format. Like for India, there's a very similar format. But for invoices, there are like 5 columns for one type of invoice, 100 columns for different types of invoice. 100 is just too much. Like 10 columns is for different invoice types. Then again, different field names like name, description. Then it could be, you actually have to use AI and a lot of other things to actually understand the invoice very well, and then extract the data accordingly.
Got it. This sounds super interesting. Mind touching a bit on, you don't have to share any company secrets, but like, so I'm just personally interested by it. So where does AI come into the picture here?
Yeah, so basically, let's say there are two types of invoices. So the first invoice is very simple, like you see in very IT companies, like, hey, what's the service? Like the quantity, description, unit price, and the total amount, and that is called an invoice line, right? Now, for construction companies, the thing is, uh, the columns are way too varied. So it goes from product number, description, quantity, retainage period, from date to date, from date, and it goes and on, capturing every single detail possible. Okay, now the thing is, we actually have to create a universal parsing system, so that if an invoice of any type is put into our system, the basic data is at least extracted, like the name, like the description, like the retainage. What do you mean by retainage? Has the work already been completed, or is it about to be completed? All this information, these needs to be analyzed either using an LLM system, or you actually have to build a model on top of it to analyze across different set of invoices, and then create a raw model or something like that, to understand that, okay, these kind of invoices in retainage, it means X, anything else, or like whatever the term entails. Or in this, the retainage means this. In this, the retainage means this. Or even the description columns, like you see, like the description, the word is written description, but in most of the time, the invoices that we have dealt with, is it's called item. Okay, so actually the invoice system has to know that even item is called description by just looking at the invoice itself. So these kind of different challenges, understanding the column names, even plus the invoice lines, these take a lot of time.
Got it. It makes a lot of sense. So the AI bit is basically a model which could be GPT, or an in-house model where you just throw in
Yeah,
all the information.
yes. No. GPT. I mean, GPT was a good boon for us when we were starting with very basic models, like just like 10 very simple invoice type. But soon we realized the invoices that we're dealing with had, like, you won't believe, like 35 to 40 invoice lines per each page, and GPT was failing either due to less number of tokens or more number of tokens, or anything else. It did not work well. I mean, it did help a bit in understanding the column names, but we soon realized that we have to build our own custom system and take help of other people to actually understand the invoices very well. And it was hallucinating a lot as we progressed further. So that is when we had to cut down on GPT and actually build a robust system on top of it.
All right. So you're saying, so basically in-house model. You are you using?
In-house model.
Got it. So something on top of something like Llama, or like something trained
Yes,
from.
yeah. So basically, once we got a lot of invoices, like we have actually got 100,000 of invoices. So we actually built an annotation system on top of it, where one of our engineers actually have to annotate it, and then it's fed into a computer vision system. Then it is analyzed. Then again, not 100% accuracy, but 60%, 80%, and then we progress further and further and further.
Got it.
But GPT does lie, but a bit of a component is there. I mean, we don't use Llama. Llama did not work well.
Okay, got it. Sounds good. Super interesting, man. This was great. I think this will be super helpful for people to understand what exactly happens in a company once you join. Yeah, cool. So okay, so sounds like your role is slightly combination of a lot of data analytics, like still, and parsing data, a lot of ad hoc work, basically, not standard full stack. What else did I want to talk about? Let's talk about how did you approach this company for a full time role?
Yeah, so basically, as I said, I don't really apply for any traditional roles. So this company approached me on a platform. I think a lot of people should know about it. It's called YC Co-founder Matching.
Mhm.
Now, it's basically a platform where co-founders can meet, and you will see a lot of cloud platforms out there which do the same thing. But again, YC, I think, has a different motion to everything that they do. Now, the thing is, I got into this platform, and once I first signed up to it, I realized there are a lot of different people solving really interesting problems. My intention was never to land a job, but actually meet a co-founder who I could, help, build a startup with, because I had been an entrepreneur before building different systems, and I realized that entrepreneurship is something that I want to, put myself front over the job part as well. So I got into that platform, and then I started and reaching out to more and more people, and I realized I have to build a profile for them to actually accept my connection request. And I built a very simple profile highlighting that I'm a good problem solver, because entrepreneurs need problem solvers, not just coders. So I just mentioned 2 to 3 points where I faced a problem, I solved it right then and there in just 2 sentences, and just 3 problems and then 3 solutions. That's it. If you want to reach out to me, and if the problem interests me enough, I'll help you out. That was my entire profile. And after like 2 to 5 or 10 days, I got a connection request from CEO, the co-founder that I'm working with right now, and they've said that they have already raised these kind of funds. They're already VC backed by very different capitals, very large capitals, and I actually got very scared in the beginning to approach him or even revert back to them, because I thought, okay, these guys are having Google engineers, Netflix engineers in their team. Why would they want me? Okay, and I actually did not accept their request for a while, for like 2 to 3 days, because I would kind of scared, because I thought, okay, even if I get in, then I would get fired, because I'm not that of an accomplished engineer. So that was my uh, first thing that I first that found that, okay, I'm not able to, realize what my capabilities are. So then I just wanted to do like, okay, have, just I just want to just get back to them, like even if I don't land a job, at least I'll have a connection. Okay, so that was my main motto. So I got back to him and said that, hey, what are you doing, etc., etc. Then we landed on a call, and the interview was quite friendly. It did not entail much on the engineering side, and there was a Google engineer as well. So I thought, okay, there would be grilling of DSA questions and whatnot, but nothing of that sort happened, because these were early stage entrepreneurs and they wanted to solve a problem in any way, and they understand that startups, obviously in the early stage, don't really practice on the DSA stuff, but on the really hacky ways to get the product across to client, achieve product market fit, and so on and so forth. So the interview was like, okay, what kind of problems have you solved, what was the experience? It was basically a conversation rather than an interview, and I really liked it. And the Google engineer was itself was, okay, I worked at Google Brain and I did this, that, etc., etc. And even then I solved a problem where which entailed this solution. So what do you think of that? Look, do you have any ideas? Even though I did not have idea of the tech stack, I just gave my vision on how would I approach that kind of problem, and they really liked it. And they said, okay, you're a good problem solver, and we would like to get you started ASAP. And just because I was in I was in like what, starting of my fourth year, I did not know how should I approach this. Should this be a full time, or should it be a part time job? After some clarity, I got in touch with them. They said, okay, if you want, you could be in a full-time role, but again, there would be a 1 month probation period, wherein after which, if you work well enough, then you would be promoted to full-time. And after that, I just grinded myself for like the first month, because I have already seen a lot of videos where you said that even your journey, your first remote job was, was just like this, and the first month you struggled and you grinded a lot, and I followed that. And then in the 19 days itself, they offered me a full-time role, and then the rest is history. I'm working full-time there.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Super interesting. So almost very similar to my first, offer.
Okay.
Even though like I did not have a lot of Google employees in my company, is pretty ad hoc. But this is super interesting. So you're telling me like amongst so how did you differentiate yourself as an engineer from India, considering they had a lot of funds, they had a lot of engineers from Google already? Why would they want to hire you? Why was what do you think was the reason?
Exactly. I think the reason was I portrayed myself as a problem solver, not as a technical coder. Because my YC profile, or my YC co founder profile, just listed out three problems. Even I would describe it as well. So basically, there was a system wherein we built a PayPal system. I did not like PayPal while I was receiving international payments. So I basically built a crypto system which would enable me to accept payments easily. So I saw a problem, I solved. So that was my first sentence, the first two sentences. The second one, I was facing a health issue, and then I solved that problem using computer vision. Nintendo was basically doing it as well, but I did it without any hardware, just using computer vision. Even if I did not know anything about game development or computer vision before solving that problem, I learned that in a month, and then solved the problem, got invited by Google, Cisco, etc., etc., even landed a grant as well. So that was my second problem. I don't remember the third one right now. I haven't been to the profile yet again. But again, there was another third problem. So my lifeline basically said that if you show me a problem that interests me enough, then I will solve it in any way possible. And I did not ever say that I'm a technical coder. I just said, and I showcased that I know game development, I know crypto coding or making software, and that's how I made crypto. So everything was about problem solving, and that is what I focus on the most.
Got it. Got it. Thanks a lot of sense. So I think you differentiated yourself by not having. I mean, you did not have the flashiest GitHub or contributions there.
No, no, never. No, never, never.
You just had a very entrepreneurial mindset on your YC profile, which
Yeah, yeah. Like an overall saying that I am a technical guy, but I also look on the other aspects as well.
got
So
it.
that's why I'm an overall person.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. And so, how's it going here now? What are your work timings? How much do you work in a day?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, I start my work at 6 p.m. in the evening, Indian time, and then 3 a.m. till in New York time. And this has actually helped me a lot, because because before I had a job, I used to sleep at 2 a.m. So I think, this is a boon for me as well. At least I'm getting paid here. So that's why, like, I think that, this is the best way to get, do a job. And I'm not an early riser, so this has helped me a lot as well.
Got it. So what about college? Are you skipping college or what's happening there?
No, 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 I'm not skipping college. So basically, in the seventh semester, when I was in seventh semester, we did have a lot of like capstone projects, and I had to handle that honestly. I mean, there was no other way around it. But it was a sort of motivation that, hey, I'm earning this well, and this is just a phase. Like the seventh semester is just a piece of cake. You can, obviously, there is a limit to how much struggle that college can put you through. So after the seventh semester, in the eighth semester, we don't have to go to any college. I mean, we just have to gain our internships experience and certificates, and that's that. So I just have to stay at home and then you work for my company.
Got it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. And so we missed out on how did you negotiate and how much money do you make? If you could give a rough range, and how did you ask for the number? How did you arrive at the number?
Yeah, so basically, it's a very funny story because once I started, once I had the interview with the founder itself, the conversation was all about, okay, what they were doing, if I would be interested in joining them, etc., etc. We even never discussed about the salary part. And after the call, I realized that, okay, if I'm working with them, so I did not have a clear understanding of, hey, what should be my salary here? Okay, what should me, what should I get paid in equity or anything else? After the call, after like 2 or 3 days, I messaged him saying, hey, I loved your company doing this, that, etc. What kind of collaboration is this? Is this a paid opportunity or is this an equity? Because I was genuinely interested in what they were doing. So I
Yeah.
did not care much about, the salary part, but I was like, hey, should I be paid in equity or anything else? He said, okay, just throw me a brief figure on what you want, and then we will think on that. But again, I realized that I don't have to get greedy. And I realized that I came across a video where you said that, okay, you had a friend who just threw a random number like 100K, and obviously he did not get the offer. And I knew that I did not deserve it because I was working with the best engineers in the world. So obviously anything, even if I'm getting paid low, at least I'll be getting a lot of experience as well. So I thought, okay, any figure would do. So I threw him a random number, like the range would be around like $2,000 to $4,000 per month. And then I said, like, hey, will this work for you? And even then I was quite dubious on, like, okay, will they accept that or not? And he was quite pleased, like, hey, okay, let's do this. And after this, I grinded for myself for 1 month, made sure that I actually make a mark on the company. So I actually delivered on all the client expectations, in the sense that even if the model is not running, I used to work in IST timings. I used to, wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, work till 5, then sleep for 2 hours. Just the 19 days was kind of hell for me, but again, I really enjoyed it as well. Then after 19 days, once they offered me full time, they increased exponentially. The salary was increased exponentially as well.
Got it. Yeah, it's pretty standard. I think give out a very humble number, over deliver, and then eventually negotiate as much as you want.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
perfect. Let's see if I have anything else. So what's your plan after this? Continue in the same company, work remotely?
I mean, I generally like the company and I would like to work with it even further. But the thing is, I'm always open to other opportunities. And I think even the company, gives a lot of leeway on that, because they want to solve different problems and they have never even constrained to. And the very interesting part with these US guys that I work with is that if you go and open a website which would say, hey, contact us for even for the pricing page, a simple individual like me would have hesitated back then.
Mhm.
Okay, but in these companies you actually have to contact, take initiative, get a quote from them. And that is what I really liked about this company. They said that, okay, you have got full freedom, you just have to solve this X problem, do it in any way possible. Okay, so this approach, I really like this approach. So as far as my future plans are concerned, I think I'll be staying here for at least 2 years or so. If there's a good progression, obviously I'll be staying even longer. But again, nobody knows about the future. But I'm always upskilling myself in different fields, and just trying to get ahead with the AI stuff that is going on right now. And I was pretty scared, but once I had a chat with my founders, he said that, okay, the investors and everybody, they want to have a problem solved. Even if they're doing with AI, you actually have to be the best at it. Just use the available tools, just solve a problem. That is what really matters. And that really helped. And then I'm learning and upskilling myself in deep learning, etc., etc.
Got it. How are you learning deep learning? Yeah, pretty interesting thing from just meeting him.
I mean, yeah. So Andrej Karpati. I mean, I really, obviously, I mean, he's a very famous guy in the AI sector. So obviously, I did not understand much. The first of his tutorials, I did not get anything at all. But as soon as I started learning the basics, I found that okay, this is something that okay, this is actually very interesting. Building the NLP model, how is Chat GPT even working? How are they improving that? How are they receiving the input feedback? So I mean, I'm taking it very slow. I don't have any like rush in getting into it because I want to get my basics first very clear and then get on top of it.
Got it. The good thing is you're in a company that sort of is paying you to
Yep,
do this thing. So
yep,
yeah,
exactly, exactly.
that's a good position to be in. All right. I think that's all the questions I had. Do you have any questions for me?
Not a question, but I just want to give like three important suggestions because after the controversy, I had so many DM requests on how to land a job, how to do this, etc., etc. So there are three ways I think one would land a job in this recession market as well. Unless and until there are specific circumstances where the founders would say, okay, we are not allowed to hire outside US,
Mm.
that is where you cause a problem. But apart from that, there are, I think, according to my opinion, I should always say according to my opinion because then there are Twitter guys who would just say these guys say this, etc., etc. So according to my opinion, there are three basic ways. The first is cold emailing, but in a very different sense. So what I did with every other founder, and I have a response rate of about like 80 to 70% at least, I guess. Because what I do is I find a YC founder and then I say that, hey, I really like what you're doing. And I also make an MVP version on top of it of that product, like whatever they are building. Okay. And then add an extra feature to it. So I would just say that, hey, I mean, that the first thing that you need to do is understand the company as well and understand if you really like the company. Okay,
Okay.
you have to actually have quality cold emailings, not just throw it in the dark. So you analyze the company, either go to YC and filter the first W24 or the S23, whatever the fresh whoever has raised the fresh round of fundings. Once that is done, you cold email the founder saying, hey, I really like what you're doing. Could we collaborate in any capacity? By the way, I've already made an MVP and added an extra feature on top of it. So I would love to have a chat with you. Even if you don't, just don't mention the word job, because even if you don't, land a job, you will have the connections, and he would be reminded of you in the future. So
Okay.
that's my first advice. Go to YC and then do this cold emailing. Build a very basic MVP. Of their product itself, because that shows genuine interest in what kind of problem they're solving, because that would set you apart. Because this guy just is showing that, hey, I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but this guy actually built a whole prototype of what we're doing and added a feature. So this guy's genuinely interested, and he would actually reply to your mail. I think that's very possible. Now the second thing is, again, go to YC co-founder matching, build a great profile, just showcase that you're a good problem solver, and then that's that. You don't have to actually highlight I know HTML, CSS, because the traditional profiles I have seen are like, I know HTML, CSS, Java, etc., etc., and I can make anything. I have made this hospital management website, this, that, etc. Doesn't work like that. You just have to show you are good at solving problems. The third one, the very important one, I think most of the developers, Indian developers, I think actually miss out on, is the Reddit. Because the first freelance opportunity that I landed was through Reddit. Because I remember, and in the subreddits like entrepreneurship or entrepreneur, I don't remember the name now, but there was this guy who posted that, hey, I need help in this, that, etc. And I was genuinely interested in solving his problem because he was making an e-commerce website which actually had a very great product. So I said, hey, what are you doing? And what are you thinking? What are your sales strategy, etc. Built a basic connection with it, and he actually trusted me. We had a call. There was a good build of trust, and that is how I secured my first client. I did not initially sell my service in the first DM message itself. I built a relationship, and then I just said that, okay, I can build a website for you for free if you want, but as you scale, I think you can hire me as a full time. He said, okay, great. I mean, he had no worry, and that is how I scored my first client, and then the rest is history. So just three things, like cold emailing with basic MVP, YC co-founder matching, and Reddit. Analyze the post well. Just do not sell out your services. Actually build a connection first. So I think these three things are the most important parts of the video.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And for the record, even my first opportunity, I came to know about TopTal on Reddit. So I think Reddit is super
Yep,
underrated. I was
yep, yep,
through the
yep.
freelance subreddit. Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss?
I think we have already gone over it. Should we discuss the controversy? Because I think it's already over, but I don't
Yeah.
think most of the people would be interested in it enough.
It's fine.
And because
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
I have our conversation. It's a very funny conversation. I
mm,
mean, the way you're talking on that,
yeah,
the way you're talking
yeah,
about.
exactly. I mean, like, I mean, there was these guys who said that okay, the intention of that post was basically showing that remote jobs are possible,
Right.
and that was that. Okay, and they actually pay a good salary. But if you are kept in a closed box, they would never understand that, and they would say that okay, even Apple is not paying this much in India. They would not understand that these are remote jobs. These are possible. But again, you cannot impress or you cannot satisfy everyone. So I don't think you could. Twitter is like you post something, obviously you would be berated for something else. So I think we should leave it to that, and just keep hustling and grinding. I think that's that.
Yep, I think we can leave the podcast there. I think that was very helpful. Thank you for coming on the podcast. This is super insightful for everyone, including me, and hope to
So,
continue this conversation in the future.
thank you, Arika, thank you.
तो दिस इज वेरी नॉर्मल. मुझे लगा कि इतना अपने अवेयरनेस फैला दिया है तो लोगों को रिमोट के बारे में पता चल गया होगा. बट लोग ऐसे पीछे पड़ गए हैं कि मतलब बहुत लोगों का तो डीएम्स आ चुके हैं कि दिस इज इट. बट 2-3 लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि दे वर ट्राइंग टू पुश मी टू दैट एज कि अरे यार मतलब कि तुम क्या लिख रहे हो, इसमें ट्रेलिंग जीरो नहीं है. अब तो मैं बैंक से मुझे पूछना है कि क्यों नहीं है ट्रेलिंग जीरो. वो दोषा बैंक की गलती है, मेरी तो गलती है नहीं. वो उसने क्यों किया. करेक्ट. बट बताइए क्या मैं बोलूं इसके बारे में.
तुम बताओ मैं कैसे हेल्प कर सकता हूँ. मैं वीडियो निकाल सकता हूँ, मैं ट्वीट कर सकता हूँ.
नहीं हेल्प. एक तो आप पहले तो ट्वीट कर दो कि आपने वेरीफाई कर दिया है और आपको मुझे फेम बहुत मिल गया. एक दिन में 600-700 फॉलोअर बढ़ गया. मुझे नहीं चाहिए ये एक्स्ट्रा फेम, मुझे नहीं चाहिए. मैं बस दिखा रहा था रिमोट जॉब का पावर, क्योंकि मेरा भी था ऐसा कि मैं भी बहुत अनट्रेडिशनल वे में जाता हूँ, अलग अलग तरीके से करता हूँ. मुझे ये डीएसए में इंटरेस्ट नहीं, मुझे एक्चुअल प्रोडक्ट्स बिल्ड करने में इंटरेस्ट. तो मैं भी ऐसे क्या मुझे लगे पीपल विल अंडरस्टैंड ऐसे करके फॉलोअर्स भी बढ़े, इंटरेक्शन एंगेजमेंट कुछ ज्यादा ही हो गया और ऐसा हो गया कि मैं सुबह से काम नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. रिप्लाई पे रिप्लाई कर रहा हूँ कि आई एम नॉट गिल्टी. बट फिर मेरा दोस्त ने बोला कि अरे छोड़ो यार, ये सब तो लोग को पता नहीं, जेलसी फील हो रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है तो छोड़ो, उतना नहीं तेरे को एक्सप्लेन करने. तब मैंने इसको पुश किया. पर आपको फिर मैंने मैसेज किया क्योंकि आप खुद जानते हो कि ये सब पॉसिबल है. तो जस्ट कि आप एक बार अगर ट्वीट ऐसा कर दो और थोड़ा सा स्ट्रांगली ट्वीट कर दो कि भाई मतलब कि मैंने वेरीफाई किया है इसका, बट बहुत लोगों को लग रहा है कि ये नहीं है. तो जो नहीं है उसको एक्चुअली में थोड़ा सा नॉलेज होना चाहिए, थोड़ा सा नहीं स्ट्रांगली वे में, कि उन लोग को लगता है कि अभी भी ऐसा ही पॉसिबल नहीं. तो अगर आप वो कर दोगे तो बहुत वीडियो मुझे चाहिए नहीं. हाँ कि मैंने जो जिस तरह से इंटरव्यू लैंड किया है, मेरा थोड़ा सा बहुत ही अनट्रेडिशनल रहता है. मैं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की तरफ बहुत ज्यादा एक्साइटेड रहता हूँ, तो वहीं से मुझे कनेक्शंस बनते हैं यहाँ से. तो वो लोग डायरेक्टली, वो लोग को यूएस वालों को फर्क नहीं पड़ता क्योंकि चीप है एक तो, और मेरा इंटरेस्ट भी बहुत रहता है. मैं न्यूयॉर्क टाइम में काम करता हूँ, अभी जैसे मेरा काम चलेगा आधा घंटा में, तो उसमें भी इन लोगों को ईजी मिल रहा है, उन लोगों को तो क्या दिक्कत है. तो ऐसे करके जॉब हो रहा है. बट ट्रस्ट ही नहीं है लोगों को, तो अब मैं क्या बताऊं इस लोग का. दिस इज समथिंग आई कांट डू एनीथिंग अबाउट. बट अगर आप एक ट्वीट कर दो, मैं आपका ही वीडियो देख के खुश रहता हूँ, बट आप एक बार ट्वीट कर दो कि ऐसा चीज है और दिस इज गुड इनफ, ये वेरीफाइड है. तो एक स्ट्रांगली वे में जो कि अपोज कर रहे हैं 2-3 पता नहीं 80 फॉलोअर्स के लोग, जिसका पहले कभी जॉब नहीं हुआ है, वो अलग ही से बोल रहा ब्रो स्टॉप इट, यू गॉट दिस दैट एक्सेट्रा. मतलब कि क्या मैं बताऊं, एक तो हंसी आता है इतना इग्नोरेंट लोगों को देख के. एक आप देखिएगा, अक्षय सॉरी मैं इतना बोल रहा हूँ, मैं एकदम बंडल्ड अप है सुबह से कि मैं क्या बताऊं. एक है दे हैव रोबोटिक रोबोट बनाते हैं, ठीक है. तो वो उसने लिख दिया कि भाई कैसे इतना फिगर आ सकता है बिना, मतलब कि क्रिप्टो करते हुए नॉलेज नहीं है. मैंने बोला कि भाई 1 USDT से भेजा जा सकता है, आप TRC20 नेटवर्क पकड़ लो इजिली भी. मैं ऐसा करता क्यों हूँ क्योंकि 83 और 89 के डिफरेंस रहता है, थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा मनी है वहां, इसलिए मैं यहाँ पे करके इतना बैठता हूँ. P2P पे आप मत करो क्योंकि फ्रीज हो रहा है बैंक अकाउंट, तो आप स्पॉट पे भेज दो, अब तो सारा डिपॉजिट खुल चुके हैं. तो दीज आर द मैटर्स. अब उतना क्या समझाने चाहूँ कि आपको ये है, फिर जितना इंटरेक्ट करोगे उनका एंगेजमेंट बढ़ेगा. ये लोग तो मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है. तो फिर मैंने बोला कि छोड़ो यार, इतना नहीं करना मुझे. अब फिर मैं इसको हार मान गया, मैंने हाथ गिव अप कर दिया कि नहीं चाहिए मुझे इन लोग का सपोर्ट. अपना मैं खुश हूँ और बहुत अच्छा मतलब लाइफ हो गया. थैंक यू सो मच. मतलब कि मैं एक्चुअली में ये कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं जानता था रिमोट जॉब. मुझे लगता है मेरे कजन ने बोला था कि यार भाई कैसा रहेगा कि तुम घर में बैठे हो US डॉलर्स में अर्न कर रहे हो. मैंने तो ऐसे वीडियो थे फ्रांस में जाके काम कर रहा है. बोला हाँ ये तो अच्छा कॉन्सेप्ट है. फिर आपका वीडियो पता नहीं यूट्यूब एल्गोरिथम आपका आ गया वीडियो कि आपने सही में बताया कि 4 करोड़ 5 करोड़ एक्चुअली में होता भी है। फिर मैंने बोला यार इतना तो पॉसिबल नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली में फिर मैंने वाईसी में अप्लाई किया बहुत सारे कंपनी को, वो लोग भी तैयार है देने के लिए। तो मतलब ये पॉसिबिलिटी है, ये अवेयरनेस आया मुझे पढ़ के। मैं इसलिए सबके ट्वीट में ये लिख रहा था, प्लीज वॉच, गो एंड वॉच हरिकत वीडियो वंस 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 वंस। मैंने सबको बोला कि पॉसिबिलिटी है, बट वही है कि अब जानना नहीं जानना एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं करना है, तो मैं क्या करूँ। बोला अच्छा ठीक है जाओ यार, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, आप जो करना है करो, मैं भाई अपना काम शुरू करूंगा। बट इतना सारा इंटरेक्शन एंगेजमेंट आ गया है ना, फॉलोअर फालतू में इतना बढ़ गया, मुझे बनाना भी नहीं था। और एक तो ट्वीट जो 5-6 लोगों का है कि यू नो दो, एक तो आप क्या, आप ट्विटर के इतने बड़े इन्फ्लुएंसर हैं, आप नो 2-3 लोगों को पकड़िए जो कि यंग है। मैं एलिजिबल नहीं हूँ गाइडेंस देने के लिए, अभी मैं यंग हूँ, मैं 4th ईयर में, मुझे समझ में आ रहा है, लेकिन मुझे बहुत सीखना है। मेरा लक भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर था, बहुत कुछ मुझे जॉब लगने में लगा, ऐसे नहीं कि मैं हार्डवर्क किया सब कुछ हो गया, मुझे पता है। लेकिन कुछ कुछ है जो कि बहुत नए नए लोग हैं, एक बार वाईसी कंपनी में इंटर्नशिप कर लिए, वो लोग ऐसा ऐसा ज्ञान शुरू करते हैं कि खत्म ही नहीं होता कि ये ऐसा ऐसा होता है, बट मैंने तो ऐसा ऐसा किया है। उनकी उम्र ही मेरी जितनी है, बट उन्हें इतना आ गया है अचानक से, पता नहीं कि वो तो वो बहुत अपने को दिखाते हैं कि नो आई एम, तो मतलब आप वो समझते हैं कैसे कैसे लोग हैं वहां पे। तो अब उनको भी थोड़ा सा टाइट कीजिए। आपका वो लुक ऐसा है कि आप बहुत शांत स्वभाव के हैं, बट वो आप उसको थोड़ा सा एग्रेसिव हो गए कि एकदम वो कर दी, गुस्सा आ रहा था ना सुबह से कि मैं क्या बताऊं। तो बोला अच्छा ठीक है, आपसे एक बार मदद ले लेते हैं। फिर आपने फॉलो किया, मुझे पता भी नहीं चला। फिर मैंने देखा कि ये हाँ, आपका भी कम ज्यादा हेट वेट नहीं, आपको भी हो रहा है, मतलब कि वो तो लिखता ही है ना कि अरे रेडिट पे आपका चल रहा है, ट्विटर पे, इंस्टाग्राम पे, कि अरे ये कहाँ कहाँ आ जाता है, ये रिमोट ऐसे प्रमोट कर रहा है, ये ऐसे ऐसे कर रहा है, वेरी सिंपल। तो लेकिन उसके नीचे लिखता है कि हरिकत इज ही इज आल्सो मेंशनिंग हरिकत, ही इज डूइंग द सेम थिंग, समथिंग समथिंग ऐसे करके, ठीक है। तो अगर हरिकत इज आल्सो फॉलोइंग, हम बोले अच्छा आप तो फॉलो कर रहे हैं, तब तो आपसे पता है गाइडेंस भी ले लेंगे और मदद तो हो ही जाएगा कहीं ना कहीं। और फिर तो ट्विटर का तो भाई ऐसा चस्का चला है ना अचानक से कि भाई बहुत मैनेज करना, इट्स बिकमिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट। तो ऑब्वियसली मैं थोड़ा सा जस्ट थोड़ा सा शांत पाना चाहता हूँ कि ज्यादा कुछ पंगा वंगा ना हो, और अपना कंपनी में अपना काम करे। अपॉर्चुनिटीज आ ही रहे, मैं खुद भी देख रहा हूँ कि बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज मुझे मिल रहे हैं। अब मैं सारे में, और अच्छा अच्छा पे भी करते हैं ये लोग, यूएस वाले लोग, क्योंकि पता है कि अच्छा स्किल है तो पे करेंगे। बट इंडियंस को नहीं मानना है कि उनको लगता है कि 1 लाख से ऊपर जॉब ही नहीं है कहीं, वो भी फ्रेशर तो मिल गया तो अब ग्रेट हो। तो अब मैं अब क्या बोलूं, अब एकदम मेरा में भड़ास है ना, अब इतना निकल आया है। मैं ट्विटर पे कभी रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करता हूँ, आज तो इतना मैंने किया है कि अब आई हैव गिवन अप, कि आई हैव जस्ट गिवन अप ऑन द फैक्ट दैट आई कांट डू एनीथिंग अबाउट इट। अब लोगों को इग्नोरेंट रहना, आप रहो, मैं क्या कर सकता। बस मेरा इतना ही था। निकल गया बहुत कुछ।
सही है, काफी बढ़िया।
अच्छा 0-0 पे इन लोग को फोकस क्यों है इतना पता नहीं, एक्चुअली वियर्ड लगता है, बट है। अब क्या मैं बोलूं, रुक जाइए, आपको यहाँ पे भी मैं दिखा देता हूँ। मैं सोचा कि ये शेयर करूं, फिर मैं बोला यार इतना पब्लिकली करेंगे ना तो सब हालत खराब कर देगा ये। ठीक है, देखिए 290, ये 0-0 समय दिया ही नहीं, ठीक है। हैज बीन कोटक बैंक, महिंद्रा बैंक नहीं है, कोटक बैंक, बैंक अलर्ट्स एट kotak.com टू मी, ओम ब्रॉक 42, मेरा ही ईमेल है ये, वाया एनईएफटी ट्रांजैक्शन, ये इसमें भी 290 डॉट डॉट नहीं आया है। फिर से एक बार रिफ्रेश कर लेते हैं, कहीं अगर रिस्पेक्ट एलिमेंट उससे मुझे इतना ही आता है। देखिए अभी भी 290 है, 9 जनवरी, बस इतना ही है। देखिए
ठीक है भाई,
इसमें मेरी क्या गलती है?
ये तुम्हारी कोई गलती नहीं, चिल करो, ये इट्स फाइन।